Hi guys, how's it going? It's me, Steve. I'm here with my friends Kirk Wilcox and Sean Fitzgerald. Say hello.
Hello.
Here I am, rock you like a hurricane.
So the meat of the topic we're going to be talking about today is the New York City election, which we have a resident of New York here with us. Sean will soon live in the People's Republic of New York City. And what is the election's on Tuesday, right?
Yes, it is on Tuesday.
Okay, yeah, you are looking forward to living in the socialist utopia, sure.
Yes, very happy with the choices,
Yeah, definitely a bounty of great candidates. So yeah, Sean. Sorry, go on.
Oh, it's I was doing research on like the housing policy because almost nobody goes after Mamdani on his like core policies. And you find out that Governor Cuomo, our wonderful former governor, when he was governor, decided to basically let the progressives write whatever they want in terms of a rent control law. And he literally said, I'll sign whatever they pass. And like one of the laws that's horrible is signed by Andrew Cuomo because he didn't care. So
Yeah.
great.
Well,
great
he wanted
candidate.
to be president.
Yeah.
Right. And so he needed to win over the left. But anyways, Kirk is on the West Coast. He's in Los Angeles. Sean is on the East Coast. So we have two coastal elites here and a real American, myself, who is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Three cities represented, three very different places. But I want to start off with talking about Halloween. Happy Halloween, guys. It's one day later. But Halloween's my favorite holiday. And I'm kind of sad that it's all over. You know, we're going into basically Christmas season because Thanksgiving is just a prelude to Thanksgiving, or to Christmas. But I discovered a new facet of Halloween this year. And I need to know if this is just because Wisconsinites are such alcoholics, which I already know they are, or if this is like a thing that is ubiquitous throughout the country. So I went trick-or-treating with my niece. She's 3 years old, and it's like nighttime trick-or-treating in my neighborhood. It's real fun. People do it up big. They, put crazy decorations in their house. They hand out candy to the kids. Everybody goes out. Adults dress up with their kids. It's a blast. One thing that I discovered, which was awesome, is that like just drinking in public is tolerated. Like my brother's like, here, grab a beer. I'm like, we're gonna be walking around. He's like, yeah, nobody gives a shit. And so like I'm drinking while I'm doing this. And then we go to houses and they're like, would you like some Jello shots? They're handing out booze to the adults. I'm like, this is fucking sweet. Like the kids get candy, the adults get to get liquored up. It's safe. There's a police presence. The blocks are what do you call it? Closed so that cars can't come through. So it's not like you have to worry about that. Yeah, it's a blast. Is that a thing throughout the country? Like adults drinking while trick-or-treating, kids are trick-or-treating, or are we just that fucking deep in the bottle here in Wisconsin?
I there is some like drinking on Halloween, but I don't recall receiving any booze on Halloween from anyone. Like I do live in like a walkable street where they'll block stuff off, but like you got to pay for booze. Nobody's giving out Jello shots over here.
Okay, so you guys are just too snooty over there. What about you, Kirk? You grew up in the Midwest.
This is the first I'm hearing about this. The only place that I'm aware of where you're allowed to walk around with open alcohol is Las Vegas, Nevada. But yeah, even in LA, like forget about that trend you're describing. No one trick or treats here. So no, we do not have that in the fine city of Los Angeles, California.
No one trick or treats in LA?
Not from what I can tell, wherever I've lived, I haven't really noticed it. And I remember even like when I was living in Michigan in my mid-late 20s, like treating was like a dying trend because like the neighborhood I grew up in, like when I was a kid, like everyone was trick-or-treating until like 10 at night. And then as I like entered my teenage years and young adult years, just no one was doing it. I'd have like a bowl of candy to pass out and I'd get like 1 or 2 visits the entire night. So
that's so fucking lame. The thing that people do nowadays is this trunk or treat shit, which is just like, it's the most neutered form of like a wonderful tradition. Because trick or treating is so much fun when you're a kid. It's like, it's the first time when I was a kid that I was out at night with my friends unsupervised by parents. I believe so. And there's like a certain amount of mischief that's just tolerated. So like, it's a tradition, and I'm sad to hear that it's dying.
They
The thing you
still-
described sounds like fun. I could get down with that. Take some nephews or whatever trick or treating and get some Jello shots along the way. Sounds like a fun time.
Exactly.
they still trick or treat over here. Like it does happen. I did move to a different neighborhood after like post nuptials, but when I was a kid, it used to be like a big thing, and people would drive into our neighborhood, like park car, and they like I don't know where they came from. They were trick or treat in our area. But typically the rule is if you see Halloween decorations, like it's fair game to trick or treat at. But like, you know, there's a bunch of people who don't celebrate Halloween around here, I guess. So like if there's no decorations on your street, you're gonna see no kids, like nobody trick or treating. And I happen to live near a place where there's some like bars and whatnot. So like what I saw most of, I did see some trick or treaters, but what I saw most of was like adults in costumes, like, you know, like women in police outfits that barely cover enough to, you know, stay in line with the indecent exposure laws. Like that's the Halloween that I saw.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that was another thing is like, there were no like super scantily clad women out like you got in college, like what you're referring to, but there were some decently hot moms and like, I assume like older sisters and like, or like aunts going with their kids who were like, you know, fairly good looking, dressed in some somewhat revealing clothing. So that was another aspect of it that was fun, but nothing inappropriate. But
I'm rooting
Kirk,
for the inappropriate.
Kirk, you went out for Halloween, didn't you?
Yeah, I went out a few times. Was Ness from Earthbound last week? Was the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels last night? Got the World Championship belt right here. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I have noticed that the whole scantily clad, it's still a thing, but I feel like it's kind of declined as well over the last like 10 years, you know, or maybe that's just an LA thing because in LA, like a lot of like the cosplay nerds and stuff like go all out. And like, that's what it's all about, having the most impressive costume, not like the sexiest costume.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't frequent like places where women of that age hang out. So like, I couldn't tell you firsthand if that's like still a thing here, but
like you need the scantily clad women on Halloween, especially if you're like a single person. Like, you know, if you're a single guy, you just walk up to every woman that's dressed like incredibly provocatively and you say, you know, you're supposed to wear a costume. Like that's the move right there. That's the only night of the year where it works. Like try that on Valentine's Day and you'll get some weird look.
That is a great pickup line. Anyways, so the trick-or-treating that I did was last Saturday, so a week ago. Last night I did my own Halloween tradition of walking around, looking at Halloween decorations, and then I go see a movie by myself. I know I'm a fucking dork with no life, but the movie that I saw was the Bruce Springsteen movie, which I just have been referring to as the Bruce Springsteen movie, which is Deliver Me From Nowhere, I want to say is the name of it. But so I'm a huge Springsteen fan, but and trust me, this is related to politics. This is not a film review because I don't do that. But I will say overall, the movie was good, but it was way longer than it needed to be. It felt like 20 minutes of the movie was devoted to just Bruce Springsteen or Jeremy Allen White, the guy who played him. I'm just going to refer to him as Bruce Springsteen, staring out into like the distance, all forlorn. He's clearly contemplating and he's suffering because he's had trauma in his childhood. And it's like literally there's like 20, 30-second scenes of him like, whoa, and like it slows down and maybe they play some dramatic music. It's like, okay, yeah, we get it. You're introspective, you're tortured. That's enough. So in other words, if they cut that out, you'd have a much better movie. But if you're a Springsteen fan, you'll like it, but it's really slow. I will say that. I don't know. Do you guys listen to Springsteen or have any interest in that movie?
I'm actually, my weakest subject is music, but what I will say is that biopics are typically Oscar bait or they're trying to sell when they're music based, like resell albums. And yes, movies are way too long. But also, I saw the trailer for that Springsteen movie, and I feel like I saw the whole movie in the trailer. Like it, and I have that AMC pass where you see like multiple movies a week, like you pay like a monthly fee. So I go with the wife very often. So I've seen that trailer like 1,400 times, I want to say. And it's like Bruce wants to heal the world with his music, and it's like Carmi from what you call it, that cooking show, whatever you call it, The Bear. And like, you know, yeah, he is making like introspective faces like the whole time. Like
Dude,
that's
that
like
is
the whole shtick.
movie, I swear to God. Okay, Krillin876, $2 super chat. Video request for Sean. Thrive MC grift ignored. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, there was a program under Bill de Blasio where he put his wife in charge of a mental health thing called Thrive New York City. And they spent like $800 million on it. And they got up to $1 billion. But like they're like, okay, how's the program doing? And they're like, oh, well, they're like, okay, like what proof do you have? Like, what did you spend the money on? Like no receipts, no metrics. Like they did a couple of commercials for it, which, you know, like I hate like everything in America, not everything, but like things like mental health in America where they're like, you have to increase spending. It's always like nonsense because they don't do anything about like the homeless people that are on the street that are legitimately mentally ill. Like you look at the commercials, it's like, are you anxious that you have to study in university? Like contact Thrive New York. It's like all, you know, like handouts to constituents that could be reliable to vote, not who are mentally ill and need it.
Oh, sounds like a great program.
Yeah. So like if you ever hear Bill de Blasio's wife stole $1 billion, then that's what that's in reference to. And also she stole $1 billion and now left Bill de Blasio, and now he dates Nomiki Konst.
He does?
Yeah. Oh, have you not seen those photos? She's dating Frankenstein. He's like twice her age. It's freaking
oh my God.
no, you know, no judgment, obviously, but
yeah,
no judgment.
Aren't Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau a thing now too?
What?
Yeah.
What? Oh my God. Why? What world do we live in? That's awful. $5 super chat from Fat Brown Buffalo 6194. Miami caught that Rico. Dallas caught that Rico, and tomorrow Green Bay gonna catch that Rico. No, Rico Dowell. He's a good running back, but the Packers have the best run defense in the league, so don't count on it, bud.
I can speak to that. The Lions have been running all over everyone as of late, but that week one, we had a tough time running that football. I'll tell you what.
They did.
Yeah.
$5 super chat from, oh God, I can never pronounce your name. Chaika and Mike are best. Thank you. Make Sean attempt my name. Also yesterday, I got Jimmy John's, watched The Thing, and played Resident Evil and Luigi's Mansion. That sounds like a great Halloween. Sean, say his name.
Chaika and Mykana are best.
I think, yeah, Mycan are best. Yeah.
Mm.
This guy's so generous with his super chats, and
you need to put the capital letters at the start of every new word. That would make it easy for us to read it.
Agreed. Okay. $5 super chat from Deeper with Diego. And don't one of you worship Arm Radian, the chick who said Satan tricks us into being nice is evil? Make rent freeze great again. What?
He's joking.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Who's Arm Radian?
He's talking about Ayn Rand, I imagine.
Oh, okay, I got you. Well, that would be Kirk he's referring to. Okay, there you go. All right. Anyways, so the Springsteen biopic was not like a typical biopic where it's like, oh, he started off obscure, and then here's where he caught his big break, and oh, he's performing in front of crowds, even though people said he couldn't. It starts off with him already being famous, and he's recording one album in particular, which is Nebraska, and he's like super depressed when he's recording that album, which makes sense if you've listened to that album. And so it's all about that. It's all about him honestly being kind of dramatic and emo, but whatever. He had childhood trauma, so that's cool. The thing about Bruce Springsteen is he has an interesting place in our culture. And I say this again as someone who's a big fan of his, is he perhaps more than any other musical artist is responsible for painting that image of America lost something. Like, you know, his music videos, if you ever watch them, they're like filled with like men carrying lunch pails and having hard hats on, going to work, and it's all like a bunch of his songs are like, life is hard now, things are tough, and it's like people obviously like things did change from 1950s till now, and there was lots of economic upheaval. I'm not denying any of that. I've talked about this endlessly on my channel.
Yeah, Neil Lambro bootlegger.
Like people respond to art as well, and he more than perhaps any other artist is responsible for painting that image. So while I love the guy, I kind of hate him too for that. So it's like, I don't know. I'm comfortable liking artists who I disagree with. Like one of my favorite bands is also Rage Against the Machine, and needless to say, I disagree with their politics. So anyways, that's what I got to say about Bruce Springsteen. Any thoughts on that? Any thoughts on?
Yeah, this might be more of the culture wars that the conservatives are always on about. Like he's in the culture, he's presenting a culture that's making people approach politics in a certain manner.
Probably.
I think there is like, we do need to like have a little bit of separate the like art from the artist or the politics. Like if it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
Like one of the most annoying things is where people will be like, oh, it's woke because of this message, therefore it's bad. And it's like, no, sometimes like you watch a show and it's just politics and they're having like abnormal conversations that come from like professors. And you're like, this sucks because
you mean like House of Cards?
I didn't watch that show. I actually avoid a lot of politics shows because I'm not interested in fictional politics that much.
House of Cards was an awful show. Like it started out decent, then it just like got worse and worse and worse. And it was like the conception of politics was like a mix of total conspiracy theories and like also like the way like some juvenile politics brained idiot thinks the way politics works. It's like
that's a West Wing. That's like every internet leftist like their favorite show where they're like, oh, the president just has to give a big speech, and then you watch West Wing. It's like every episode, Martin Sheen is like he gives the big speech at the end, and it wins everybody over, and like all partisanship dies, and he's just a good president trying to do a good thing, and it's like, oh my god, like this is trash. And I think when they try to redo that same crew, the writing crew for Newsroom, people realize like how corny this shit is.
Newsroom was so awful.
There's scenes from Newsroom that are like legitimately the funniest scenes in any show that's ever been put to film. Like the Osama bin Laden, the two pilots like shaking each other's hands, and they're like, why'd you do that for? They're like, we report the news. And I'm like, I was waiting for the laugh track. Like it's one of the, if you haven't seen that scene, you got to look it up. It's amazing.
The most annoying thing about Newsroom was like it was so sanctimonious, and then it was like, this is how news ought to be reported, and like a bunch of people took that seriously, like, Newsroom, they're really showing it how it's done. It's like, yeah, they're reporting on news from a fucking year ago. Of course they can do a good job of it. Like
there's like comedic scenes and like unintentional comedic scenes. Like I remember I saw a clip of like they're talking about the debt ceiling, and the reporter comes in the room. They're like, "Tell me about this debt ceiling," and it's like, this isn't the first time this has come up. Like you don't know this. Like I get the show is supposed to be real, like not real, but like real news events a year later by the time they had to write it out. But like we had a debt ceiling fight. Like this episode airs maybe like 2018. We had these fights.
No, that episode. I know the episode you're talking about. It was like 2013.
Oh, okay. So all right. Well, maybe they did have to stumble in there and be told that.
But yeah, I remember the scene with Olivia Munn being like, "But the debt ceiling's already about things that have already been accrued." Oh, and like, oh, this is a big revelation. It's like, okay, whatever. Shut up.
But that's like the game that they play with politics. It's like you have the fight at the debt ceiling. They'll be like, oh, well, the money's already appropriated. But then you could never have the fight when the appropriations bills are done because they don't even do the appropriations bills. They do continuing resolutions.
Right. Chika and Mike are best. If you want a good political thriller, I recommend the game metaphor Refatio by Atlas. The first half is okay, but it really comes together in the second half. Warning, the game is around 80 hours. Okay. So it's a game. Interesting. I'll have to check it out.
If you want a good show about politics that doesn't turn out to be a good show about politics, just watch like the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. It's
Yeah.
very, very much about managing power and legitimacy, and and there's dragons in it occasionally.
Yeah, and then it gets that. I mean, it's still a great show, but that show did fall off the rails. Let's be real here. Yeah.
Well, it's like you learn from the first couple of seasons like how important a claim to the throne is, and then like Jon just becomes king somehow.
Yeah.
Like Sansa's standing right next to him, and it's the heir to Winterfell. They told you this whole time that she's the key to the North, and they're like, Jon's king. Whatever.
A bunch of guys with swords said king in the North to Jon. So
Cersei becomes queen somehow. Like
even though like she's got no claim to power, she blew up a church and now she's queen. So
the Sand Snakes murder the Mortells, and like they become the rulers of Dorne. Like what?
Yeah, Dorne operates by regicide. Why not? Anyways, speaking of divorcing, oh god, this is kind of a butcher this transition. Speaking of divorcing qualities, good qualities from bad qualities, let's talk about your future mayor there, Sean, Zoran Mondani.
The magic man.
Well, when somebody really sucks like he does, people who don't like him are reticent to say a nice thing about him. But I will say, he does have charisma. Like he does. He has natural skills as a politician. And of course, let's be real here, he's most likely to win, correct? That is the state of the race.
Yeah.
And so when he most likely wins, the online left will declare that this is a vindication of their policy vision, and that therefore Democrats, if they want to win landslide elections, should run on this platform. And of course, they'll ignore whatever intangibles he has, like the fact that he's younger than any other candidate, more handsomer than any other candidate, more charismatic than fucking stupid ass Andrew Cuomo. Because let's be real here, as much as Zoran Mondani sucks, it really is just shitty candidates for you guys. And I don't hold it against anybody for not wanting to vote for Andrew Cuomo. And let's be real here, the Republican guy is not going to win. So I don't know. You tell me, Sean, what is the state of the race as you see it right after I get out onto this? Death by Sloth, $2. The show Boss is about dirty Chicago politics. I hear Kelsey Grammer's in that one, right? And I hear he's very good in it. But yeah, I've heard that's a good show. Anyways, tell us about dirty New York politics.
Yeah. So, I mean, the state of the race, it really is like the bungling by Andrew Cuomo that has allowed this to all happen. So obviously he gets bounced from the governor's mansion, but he decides that he's going to run for mayor. When he decides to run for mayor, the Republicans decide that Andrew Cuomo is going to win no matter what. So they don't run anybody against Curtis Sliwa in the primary. So there's like no challenger for Sliwa. He wins the primary with like 8,000 votes or some ridiculously low number like that. And the reason for that is because when Andrew Cuomo was governor, he would win Staten Island, which is like the most Republican part of New York City. So they're like, no chance, betting odds, Cuomo, 90% chance of winning. And then all of the other candidates like run progressive, and Mamdani runs the most progressive. And unlike like a Brad Lander, who has like no charisma, like honestly, he's like a borderline offensive stereotype of like a Jewish man, like running as like the other super progressive. And they all basically say rank everybody but Cuomo, and they basically all one by one bend the knee to Mamdani because we have ranked choice voting in the primary. So he wins.
Can I interject for a second? This kind of radicalized me against ranked choice voting. It's like, like the whole idea is like, you have a bunch of different candidates, and then like the one that the people technically like most will win. But and then like this is like, no, people will just game the system to get the candidate they want anyway. So I'm no longer sold on that pipe dream fantasy.
Well, it's funny.
Before you go on, Sean.
Sure.
Board 3659, $2. Watch the prequels for politics. This is something Sean and I disagree on. I believe that the prequels actually have a good political plot. Sean doesn't agree.
I'm not a fan of the prequels.
I don't think they're good movies, but they have a good political plot, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, whatever. Listen, we don't have all night. But yeah, no, the it's funny because if you had ranked choice voting in the general election, Mamdani would probably lose. Because like most of the Sliwa voters would likely rank Cuomo before him. So like if you had that, he would probably lose the election. But whatever, they don't have it. It's only in the Democratic primary, I guess. So yeah, he wins the primary. And then Eric Adams is there, and Eric Adams was not winning. Like, there are still conservative influencer accounts that like legitimately pissed me off because they're like encouraging people to vote for Eric Adams like a month after he dropped out. It's like Eric Adams was never winning. Like the Turkish corruption, like the indictments for taking all that Turkish money and all that, that killed his political chances of winning. That's why he didn't run in the primary. Like, he abandoned the primary because he had no chance of winning. And people are like, after he drops out, that you should still vote for him. Like, the conservatives are saying that. And it's like, you guys are really just like horrifically stupid. But so it ends up being a three-way race with Cuomo, Sliwa, and Mamdani. And a lot of people are busting Curtis Sliwa's balls for not dropping out. But he's like under no obligation to give Andrew Cuomo the mayorship. Like, it doesn't make any sense for him to do that because he's basically was already running against Cuomo the whole time.
Okay, who is Curtis Sliwa and where did he come from?
Okay, so Curtis is like a New York relic. He's been around forever. He founded a group called the Guardian Angels, which are like a bunch of civilians that wear like red windbreakers and berets, and they like guard people in the subways. So they would like go in to the subway and like try to stop like petty level crime. It's a volunteer organization, and he's like the founder and the head of that. And he also got shot by John Gotti one time.
Like literally by John Gotti or one of John Gotti's goons?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was him, but it might have been a goon, but it was in the back of a cab. So like, so he's been around forever. You can go, like, you can watch like old clips, Central Park 5, the Tawana Rowley case, like all these crimes going back to the 70s. They'll almost always have some news archive footage of them interviewing Curtis Sliwa, talking about how dangerous the subway is or whatever. And all that. So he's like a real, like, straight up New Yorker. Should he be the Republican nominee? Probably not. But when nobody ran against him, that's what happened. So, and he's had a funny trajectory. He's had a radio show forever. And the callers were calling in so much, telling him to drop out so Mamdani doesn't win, that he got like livid. And then he ended up having an interaction with his boss on air. And he just quit his show on air because his boss just wanted him to drop out. So, like, his campaign has been like a major, it is what it is. Like, he was never going to win. Like, you have to run a real candidate, but Republicans don't understand that. So like with this split in the votes, it looks like Mamdani is going to win. And all these like polling agencies are the people that are saying, oh, well, more old people are voting, so that's going to change it for Cuomo. He's down like 15 points on average in the polling. Like, it's over for him.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. Graham Finlayson Fife 73 for $5. Why isn't the Miami election getting the same coverage as other cities? That's a good question. I haven't heard anything about the Miami election. Anybody know what's going on there?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
What I would say about the elections is, like, they're saying that Mamdani's a blueprint for the rest of the country. Like, this is the way to win. Yeah. Go look up the Minneapolis election. They have a Muslim socialist candidate running on rent control and all the same crap Mamdani's running on. And the betting odds have Fry. Everybody corrected me for calling him Jacob Frey because, that's how it's spelled. But apparently it's Fry. This guy has a 75% chance, according to the betting odds, of winning. And the reason for that is when this guy said affordable housing by rent freezes, Jacob Fry was like, oh no, we've built housing and rent has dropped in real terms by 80% because we cleaned up our zoning code. So like, you have literally nothing to offer. Like, he ran right at the socialist affordability agenda instead of pulling an Andrew Cuomo and like literally he ran his whole primary campaign on like never really running a campaign. And then when Mamdani rose in the polls, he kept mentioning Israel. He was like, oh, you won't visit Israel. It's like Andrew, like, what are you doing? Like, you have $33 million. Can you do a little better Oppo research? Like, there's all these like things that have come out ever since early voting has started that just like piss me off as a New Yorker who doesn't want Mamdani to win. Like, the MTA head is like, oh, by the way, that $700 million in bus revenue, which I've been talking about this forever, that you'll lose by making buses free. It's going to be way more than that, because people will take this, instead of taking the subway, which is more efficient, that you still have to pay for, they'll take the free bus. So you'll drain money from the MTA in the subway, not just in the fare loss in the bus. Like, I've been saying that from the jump. And like now, like 2 days ago, the head of the MTA was like, oh, by the way, this is going to be like kind of disastrous. I'm like, oh, wow. I'm so glad. Like half of New Yorkers already voted. Like, great job. Like, wonderful.
Well,
Now, I have something to bring up. So,
Please.
Steven, you live in Milwaukee, right?
yes.
I think you mentioned it earlier. So I got a little history here. I'm looking at the list of mayors of Milwaukee. 1910 to 1912, socialist. 1916 to 1940, socialist. 1948 to 1960, socialist. So
Yeah.
is Milwaukee like, does your backyard look like Venezuela or Cuba right now? Huh? What's the
No,
big deal if New York City elects a socialist? Come on.
You know,
It's
and
not
like
a disaster.
in like 1960, the population of Milwaukee was like 1 million people. It was also like way more dirty and way more racist here, but like, yeah, I mean, like, unfortunately, I do not know the history of my city well, and excuse me, I'm not as plugged into local issues as Sean is. So I honestly like that's that's a good topic to research. What were the Milwaukee socialist mayors were like? Like, were they obviously they had to work with the city council. What was the makeup of the city council? Who were they responding to electorally? That's all very interesting stuff. But
yeah, that
I'm glad that you brought up. Sorry,
for like a minute. That was like years ago. That was a talk point amongst the socialist left, and thankfully they moved back to apologizing for brutal dictatorships to really get at their agenda, other than this smoke and mirrors. Like, explain Milwaukee, buddy, huh? Can you explain that?
Anyways, like Kirk said, we're all from cities here, so like, sometimes people who are in our political orbits kind of, I don't know, I don't necessarily consider myself on the right. Sean, you probably consider yourself on the right. I don't know what you say about yourself, Kirk, but I think we generally have a lot of conservative audience members. And there's a lot of like city bashing with those people, like, oh yeah, fuck the cities. Yeah, I hate those. I don't hate cities. I live in a city. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, Kirk lives in a city. Sean obviously lives in New York City. I don't want to see cities poorly governed. I don't want to see them, go into this death spiral with bad policies. So it's like, because not only do I not want to see the cities be bad in and of themselves, but I think, a healthy United States has healthy cities as well as, healthy rural areas. So I'm invested in this race on this level. I don't want to see like New York City go down the shitter. And George Will, who I like, goes, well, I'd be fine with Mom Donnie get elected because people need to see every so often exact socialist experiments fail. I'm like, dipshit. People are going to, like, his idiot supporters are going to call his failures they're going to blame saboteurs. They're going to be like, and then they're going to double down. Like, you brought up this thing about the MTA. Then what's their solution going to be? It's going to be to like throw more money at the MTA or whatever. You can raise taxes on some. They're going to come up with some bullshit stopgap solution to fix a problem caused by their own policy. That's how these things work. Well, typically. Now, maybe some people will look at this and be like, and embrace like a Margaret Thatcher type figure and to drag them out of it, but that's less likely than the fucking socialist death spiral that it could go down. I don't mean to be dramatic, but like that is definitely a possibility.
The only here's where I don't want Mom Donnie to win, other than the fact that like I don't want my city to be poorly governed by a socialist candidate. It's because like that whole thing about how everybody's going to realize how bad socialism is after this guy gets elected. It's not going to happen. Like they are going to blame every other force. Like Mom Donnie's platform relies on raising taxes that can only be raised by New York State. So like you have to raise the top marginal income tax rate. The way our state is structured, because we used to have a Republican Senate, the city can't do that. And the reason the city can't do that is because the state used to realize that if we let the lefties in the city get out of control, then they would drive all the wealthy people out of New York City who pay over half the taxes here. Again, New York City has like more than 400,000 millionaires, the most millionaires anywhere in the entire country. So like if you push them out, that's it. You're done for in terms of your tax base. He also wants to raise the corporate tax rate. That's how he's going to get the other half of his program. And guess what? You can't do that without state approval. So Governor Hochul, who endorsed him, is like, well, I'm not going to do that. And she literally pretended at the rally to not hear the tax the rich chants while she was speaking and the booze. It's a real thing. She's like, oh, we're not going to do that in an interview. And it's like, okay, if you don't do that, Mamdani doesn't raise his $10 billion in revenue. And then he blames the state for not being able to do that. Now, nobody brings up, by the way, that Zoran Mamdani is in the state assembly right now. And he could propose a bill right now to raise these taxes. And he has not done so. Like, nobody's going to bring that up because nobody cares that this guy hasn't done anything at all as a state representative in like 5 years, however long he's been there. But yeah, they're going to blame everybody else for this. The only thing that Mamdani will get like knocked down for is crime. And I don't want crime to go out of control in New York City, but that's like the only thing that they pin on the mayor, because everything else you could shift to Trump, you could shift to Governor Hochul, like all these different things. That's how you can get around it. So yeah, it's not like I don't want murders to rise again like they did in 2020, like 46% year over year, before people realize that, oh, maybe defunding the police is stupid.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest concerns about him. I don't think he's going to turn New York City into Cuba or anything, mainly because of what you said, that he won't be able to legally. But like, what if Antifa starts running amok again? What if pro-Palestine hooligans take over Columbia University? What if another health insurance executive gets executed in New York City? How is someone like Mamdani going to handle it? And I can't help but wonder if a lot of these goons will be emboldened by a Mamdani becoming mayor, because they might assume that he might be a little softer on him than another relatively normal man.
Well, speaking of emboldened, that reminds me of something I want to bring up in the context of this. But first, the known unknown for $4.99. Kind of sucks that a lot of the anti-Mamdani critique center more around his race, religion, instead of the fact that he's a literal socialist. And we'll get to that. Do you think, you bring up a lot that he's a Muslim, Sean. How relevant do you think that is?
Well, first of all, I don't like him being Muslim is like there are a million Muslims in New York City. And I say this in almost every video. In America, we have like the most chill Muslim population in the entire world. Like, it's just a fact. But like, he is motivated by like Islamist beliefs. Like, he said he joined the DSA specifically based on their position on Palestine. Like, in his rap song, he's like celebrating the Holy Land Five that were convicted of raising money for Hamas. Like, he wants to direct the NYPD to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he were to show up in New York City. So like there is a legitimate like lane of questioning him on all of this, not to mention multiple tweets in his past before he was an American citizen supporting this group or that group with very questionable beliefs. So there's like a legitimate avenue of questioning him on these things. I also bring up that he's Muslim because I knew that he was going to pull a Sadiq Khan. And as soon as it was clear that he was going to win the election, he gave the Sadiq Khan speech where, oh my God, all my critics, they're Islamophobic, and it's like such a sad story, and New York is so horrible to Muslims. And then you look at the data and you're like, wow, like there are actually very few anti-Islamic hate crimes or hate incidents in the city of New York at all. So it's like relevant, but yeah, I would have ran directly at his agenda. Again, Jacob Fry, the guy who's discount Justin Trudeau, is like smashing this Fatah guy in the face over and over again on the issue of affordability, rather than pointing out that he does look like the Somali pirate from Captain Phillips. Like, that's just a fact. You have discount Justin Trudeau versus the Somali pirate from Captain Phillips. Like, that's the race in Minneapolis.
Does he date discount Katy Perry?
Nah, I don't think so. By the way, and as far as his race, like, people aren't making fun of his race because they don't even know his race. Like, if you were to ask half these people if Mamdani was Arab, they would say yes. Like, none of these people know that he's half Ugandan and half Indian. Like, literally none of these people that are just like doing like Laura Loomer, like, oh, ban all Muslims. By the way, did you see in one of my tweet replies when I pointed out that he pulled the Sadiq Khan, which I predicted? Laura Loomer replied and was like, this is why we should ban all Muslims. And then Ian Carroll replied saying, this is why we should ban all Jews from running, right? And like my notifications were ruined for like 3 days after that. It was just like apocalyptic.
Oh no. As far as I tweeted out, speaking of Twitter, it was like right when Zoran came on the scene, like someone was like Muslim socialist. I'm like, look, I would vote for a Muslim capitalist over an atheist socialist any day of the week. But like, you're right. If somebody is like, a Muslim who is not, nominally religious, sort of like the way, a shit ton of Christians are nominally Christian. They it's their Facebook setting as their religion, but they don't actually practically give a shit about it. Like, there's so many Muslims who probably fit the bill for that. Like, that's fine with me. If they have Islamist beliefs, of course, then that's a problem. And what was the thing? Oh yeah, it was in one of your videos. You talked about the opinion on Muslims went up after 9/11 in New York City, which, I'm glad that it didn't go down in the barrel. Like, that's a good thing, right? Yeah. But it's like, yeah, Americans George W. Bush, for all of his flaws, he did go to mosques after 9/11. It was like, Islam was founded on peace, and the pacts had nothing to do with not Islam. And while I don't think that's true, I'm glad that the president of the United States said that, because then, yes, because if somebody more cynical, honestly spoke the truth about it, you might get people attacking Muslims, which is not a good thing. But again, it's like, yeah, Americans are not like inherently bigoted towards Muslims, but he's going to play that card if he wants to, right?
That's why it's like a bit annoying to hear about, like, first of all, Mom Donnie's made up aunt that my friend Ryan Gerdusky of the great beeper joke against Mehdi Hassan on CNN, which was hilarious. Good job, Ryan. He predicted that he was gonna say, oh, it wasn't his actual aunt, it was somebody, and then it's like, oh, and they're gonna say that you're just white people, you don't understand that they just call people aunts in other cultures. Right. And that's exactly what he did. Like, he literally did that. But that whole thing was about how, like, America is like so horrible to Muslims. It's like, we admitted more Muslims after 9/11. Mm-hmm. Like, George Bush did go around talking about how, like, Muslims were our greatest ally in the war on terror. Like, all these, like, different efforts in order to make Americans more accepting of Muslims. And they went from, like, a fringe faith that people didn't really know about to, like, accepted to the point where it was, like, dogmatic at a certain period of time, where if there was, like, an Islamic terror attack, they would literally never say it. Like, there's that famous clip of Jank where he thought it was a white guy in, like, San Bernardino, where he's, like, screaming, take the guns away from the right wingers. And he's all pissed off. And he has, like, the Band-Aid because he had, like, a cut on his nose or something in that video. And then the next day he finds out it's a Muslim, and he starts talking about, like, all forms of fundamentalism. Like, that was, like, the regular mainstream media tactic for a really long time. You remember that whole shtick about how they can't say radical Islamic terror? Like, Ted Cruz got so much mileage out of that for like 5 years because like Democrats legitimately wouldn't say it. So we went out of our way to like be like catering to these people. And by the way, you shouldn't discriminate against Muslims randomly, obviously. Like, again, I live in New York City. I had Muslim friends growing up, and they're like, I mean, I think Turkish Muslims, they're not Turkish, but they're like Turkish Muslims. Like, if you go to Germany, there's like a bunch of Turkish Muslims that have been there since like the 40s. They're not really Muslim. Like, they drink alcohol, and the only thing that makes them Islamic is like they go to a mosque every now and again. Like, they're not these are not extremists. Like, that's how most American Muslim populations are.
Yeah. Krillin 876 for $2. For context, Curtis's ex-boss owns grocery stores. Is that Curtis Sliwa's the guy who confronted him on the radio station?
Yeah. Probably, yeah.
That's funny. $5 from Ron Sets 4629. Considering the left wants us dead, what's the panel's view on no enemies to the right as a means of defeating common enemies as self-preservation? No. I'm perfectly happy to have enemies on the right. If dipshit Nazis, no, I have no, like, as much as I hate fucking socialists, no, I'm not going to join hands in hand with fucking racists and shit to defeat them.
Yeah, it's like I mean, Kirk has to weigh in more than just shaking your head no, but
I'm enjoying this conversation. I'm sorry if I'm not and I'm also seeing people complaining about
on this because I know you have opinions. I follow you on Twitter, but like this like no enemies to the right thing, they're quite literally teaming up with the far left. So like we have to defeat the far left by like having no enemies to the right as they like horseshoe around to be like it's the Jews all along with the far left. Like I don't think that's a good plan.
Well, before we hear from Kirk,
people like
before we hear from Kirk, which I do want to hear, it's sort of like Trump all these Trump supporters who are like, we need to elect Trump, otherwise socialism will come to America. And then Trump nationalizes like certain companies, and they're like, yeah, woo, we beat the left. It's like, what the fuck? What were you worried about happening? Like, go on, Kirk. Please tell us what you think about no enemies to the right.
Imposing taxes by executive order, and then trying to, flirting with the idea of sending everyone stim checks, failing at the farmers, all that. Anyway, I think this kind of goes back to what we were talking about with like, where does the Democratic Party go with a Mamdani victory? And you're already seeing like more establishment Democrats like Elizabeth Warren, Robert Reich, Governor Kathy Hochul, like, they're excited about this guy. And this guy's clearly, he's a member of DSA, which I think is a horrible, corrupt organization. And yeah, I think this is a problem for the Democratic Party going forward, because at the very least, they're legitimizing the crazies amongst their ranks as like some sort of constituency that they have to listen to. And we saw how that played out in the 2024 election. And I think the right is suffering through a same problem at the moment too, with all this debate about whether or not we should have a big tent and allow the Tucker Carlsons and Nick Fuenteses of the world and like not attack them because, oh no, we gotta get together to beat the left. It's like eventually you're going to become as evil as the left, because you're associating with Tucker Carlson, which, to Sean's point, yeah, this guy for years ago when he was still on Fox News was talking about how wonderful Elizabeth Warren's economic agenda was, and now he's having Nick Fuentes on his show. He's talking about how much he admires Stalin, which is not the first time he said stuff like that. And it's like, what good is the right as a counter to the left when they're as crazy and authoritarian, want the same sort of central planning shenanigans? And it's like, okay, so we're gonna team up with these guys to beat the left by becoming it's just insanity. I think that's a bunch of horseshit.
Yeah,
we won't have transes though, and Disney movies won't be woke. So
we'll go back and forth on the trans issue. That's the only thing that matters. But yeah, it's it's like, you look, I'm fine with like I'm fine with some like cross, because the part in that question was like, oh, what do you think about the "they want us dead" kind of thing? Like I'm at like the point where I like, after Charlie Kirk was murdered, I have like personal social medias, which by the way are loaded with freaking Mamdani supporters, which is just depressing. And I almost never do politics over there, but I literally posted like, here are places where they build things and rent go down. Mamdani's gonna stop them from building stuff, because like there's like rumors, like, but Mamdani is not like, they say he's this policy focused like non-politician. The guy's the most politician of all of them. Like, he dodges every question. Like, he said he's for affordable housing. There are 4 ballot initiatives that make it easier to build stuff in the city of New York. He has no position on any of them. Long Island City, right next to his district currently as a state assemblyman, has a proposal where they're either going to put a big ass park, like combine 2 parks, or build in like one of the most expensive real estate more units. No position on it, except he wants the park, which is like a playground for like the wealthy. Like this guy is a weasel, like through and through. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll let private development happen as long as they meet my standards. It's like, you've never had a job. Like you're like, his mom gave him his first job, and then before that he was in a Disney movie that was directed by his mom. It's like, why do I care what you think should be built anywhere? But like, so like, you have like, I don't even remember how I started on this. I'm sorry, I'm getting like really ranty about the housing thing. But oh yeah, so about the "you want us dead" thing. So like, I see people on my personal social media like posting and celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, like people I went to school with and all that. And I'm like, I don't reveal what I do on those like private like apps, because like people from like middle school that I don't even talk to, right? But like, I'm not interested in like uniting with people that are like, yeah, it's kind of okay if you have this much crossover with Charlie Kirk for you to be murdered. But that doesn't mean that like every person that they attack is my friend. Like, that's insane. Like, I would way rather like talk to but disagree with somebody who like completely disagrees with me on politics and try to hash something out that doesn't support like murder than like get into it with somebody who's like just as crazy on the other side. You know what I mean? Like, get in bed with them, or not on, that's on my side on that one issue. Like if you're like a right-wing person who's like, now we need to impose the like religious fascist state on the left to fight back for free speech for like I don't want to partner with you at all. Like I like you're crazy. Like it's like politics has gotten like it's always been nuts, but it's gotten a little more kooky.
It's there's strange bedfellows, and then there's like the red brown alliance that's happening. It's fucking weird.
What do we mean by like the left wants us dead? Like they want it, like it's because Gavin Newsom is on the left, but he sat down with Charlie Kirk and had a conversation with. I mean, I don't like Gavin Newsom, and I've been one of his loudest critics, but like I don't think he wants his political opponents dead. So it's like, what do we even mean by that? And I feel like people they rightfully point out a lot of like crazies and fringe elements that are worth discussing and calling out, and then they act like everyone left of center like kind of resembles that. And I don't think that's the case at the moment, but it's worth discussing. But yeah, definitely. I mean, also in considering that, even more reason to not just welcome in the Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson's into the fold. Although Tucker Carlson's already been there for a long time.
Yeah, Tucker Carlson's been there longer than most of us. So
yeah.
But like Gavin Newsom, like, yeah, I don't think he wants us dead or whatever. But like Gavin Newsom also doesn't give a damn about Charlie Kirk. He said his kid was like a huge fan of him in their podcast episode. And then he goes on TV. He's like, my kid never watched Charlie. Like recently, like the guy's like whatever it takes for him to be president. That's what Gavin Newsom is in favor of. So he might not want us dead, but if it gets him a couple more electoral college votes, he'll consider it. Cause like, that's who that guy is 100%. But honestly, that's like what we're used to in politics. Like somebody who just wants the next office. So like, that's a more manageable like threat, if you will, than like, the crazies that are actually, I mean, Kyle Kalinske is like criticizing, Erica Kirk's grieving now. Like this is what he's doing. Yeah. It's like, that's a guy that's gone completely off the deep end. And like, again, like I disagree with Kyle Kalinske as much as I disagree with like Cenk or Anna, but like Cenk or Anna had the decency to be like, yeah, it's probably not good to murder or celebrate murder. And I think Cenk did something that he almost never does. Cause Cenk is like the king of smearing somebody after they die. He's like, they're sucking. He was like, I don't want to hear about his beliefs today. Like, relax, guys. So, like, those people I could work with theoretically, although Cenk a little crazy.
Dude, Gavin Newsom has been eyeing up the presidency ever since he was like, a vice mayor of San Francisco, or wherever the fuck political office he had. All right, speaking of Kyle
ever
Kalinske,
since he raised himself.
Anonymous Coward 2168 for $10. 1 year in the lesson left. Pundits, 1 year in the lessons left. Pundits like Kyle Kalinske learned is they didn't go left enough, and to be extremists in their messaging. If the left keeps losing, what do they keep this up, or what's next? So I thought about it, and I watched some interviews and some Zoran Mondani coverage on the Majority Report, which for my money is the worst of the shits, socialist hipster internet tabloids, as Kirk has called them. And so first of all, I complimented Zoran on his skills as a politician, but the entire time on this interview, he had this gigantic fake smile on his face. Hi, Sam. How you doing? I'm like, oh my God, what? Like, I thought this guy has juice. Like, what is going on here? But like, it ended with Sam Cedar talking about Bill Ackman, and he's like, I think Bill Ackman's just a bigot, because like the amount of money he spent on this race, it's nowhere near the amount of money he'll lose by getting taxed by Zoran. It's like, did it ever occur to you that maybe he thinks he'd be a shitty politician or a shitty mayor and that his ideas are terrible? No, it couldn't be that. It's that he's either self-serving or he's just a bigot.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at here is that New York City is, I believe, population-wise larger than Wisconsin, the state I live in. They're very comparable. So like an entire state, because New York City is the largest city in the United States. For those of you who don't know, I'm pretty sure most of you probably know that. I believe the bureaucracy in that, like the civil service of New York City is larger than the civil service of the entire state of Wisconsin. Obviously, there's different issues in Wisconsin. As far as I know, there isn't mining regulations in New York City. Maybe there are. I could be wrong. But like, you were talking about a significant electoral post in the United States of America. And so this is the biggest office that a socialist is going to hold, almost certainly. So if they lost this, first of all, they would claim, sabotage. They would claim rigging. I already heard on the podcast Deep Fat Fried, they're like, yeah, the DNC was funding his opponents. It's like, no, they weren't. That wasn't a thing. You just made that up.
Yeah.
So in other words, where the left will go if they continue to lose is they'll continue to double down on elections only being legitimate when they win. And that will just get uglier and uglier and uglier, because right now it's just like, oh yeah, manufacturing consent, they threw black people off the voter rolls, whatever. Yeah. But when they win, of course, it's, because people wanted whatever.
The true voice of the people.
Yeah. Those excuses that they roll out every time they lose are just going to get uglier and uglier and uglier. Like Kyle Klinsky.
Monday!
Yeah. Kyle Klinsky, who you mentioned in your super chat, is talking about a national divorce. I don't know if you picked up on this or if you've heard him say this, but like,
I haven't.
He's saying that, like, he's to the point where it's like, actually, we are losing elections because there's these retards in the red states who are costing us over and over and over. And, they make this country a horrible place, and we would live in a leftist utopia were it not for them. Like, I'm not exaggerating that much. That's slightly exaggerated, but like, this is literally what he's saying. So in other words, they're going to continue. My very long answer to your question is that they're going to continue to double down on it not being legitimate when they lose, and the excuses are just going to get uglier and uglier and uglier. So I don't look forward to it, because either they win, in which case they feel validated and they get to implement their shitty policies, or they lose and they get even angrier. I kind of hope that they abandon electoralism, because, most people aren't going to go along with whatever bullshit crusade they have, and them taking themselves out of the electoral process is only a good thing. So
like I said, like Mamdani's platform is essentially identical to Omar Fatah's. They're both DSA, literally both Muslim socialists. Like that's like their whole deal. If Fatah loses in Minneapolis, which it looks like he is going to lose, like they're not going to say, well, rents are actually down without rent control in Minneapolis. St. Paul instituted rent control on every property, 3% cap on rent increases year over year. Building collapse. So the voters looked at that versus which is what Fatah is offering, and reject that. They're never going to say that. They're going to say that it was rigged against them, that freaking Jacob Fry, the guy who cried on the George Floyd golden casket, like that guy is too establishment and not left-wing enough. And like, that's why they lost. Like, that's what they're going to go to. And they'll take Mamdani's victory as the true voice of the people, even if he wins a plurality, even if he wins by less than Sliwa and Cuomo combined. It doesn't matter what combination. They're like, that is the legit champion of the people. And every Democrat could copy that. And nobody will point out. And you said the Majority Report is like the worst example of this. They are, for a number of reasons. And like, listen, I don't want to go class or identity, but like, it kind of does matter that like the Majority Report has Sam Cedar from Worcester, Mass., college educated, left-wing guy, Hollywood guy, huge Mamdani supporter. Emma Vigland, rich kid from New Jersey, probably lives in Brooklyn, like probably puts fucking cereal on a $25 cup of frozen yogurt and talks about gentrification being the number one problem in her neighborhood. And then you have that Matt Lech guy who I looked up, and he's like he's a Midwestern guy who moved in.
He's from South Dakota, I think.
Yeah, but he moved in to go to like NYU or something and just never left. So it's like all of these like new like progressives that move into the city that like want to fix it. And like that those are the Mamdani base. Like that is who is backing him. Like the born in the United States, born in New York type of people, which by the way, I'm not born in New York City. My parents were in the service. I was born in Texas. But like those like foreign born people, that's Mamdani's base. Like, have you seen the breakdowns of the voters in there? Like this is like who is backing him. They're the perfect example of like your out of touch luxury belief having elites that are there, to use a term from our populist friends, but also like the Ackman point about him being worried about the damage. Like, I don't think Mamdani's going to achieve everything. No. I know he's only going to be mayor for 4 to 8 years, and like he's going to do a crap job, but I don't want crime to go up. And I also don't want that Department of Community Safety to be put in, because once a department is created, it's never going away.
Yeah.
Like, you could get the toughest, hardest bastard on crime to replace Mamdani. That's never leaving. That is always going to be funded till the end of time. And New York City has a population of 8 million people. Our city budget is higher than the state budget of Florida. Like, we spend so much money in this city already on bureaucracy. It's insane. It's close, but it's higher. Florida's like 113 billion. We're 116 billion. Mamdani wants to add 10 billion in new spending. Like, it's crazy. And that's not even the state budget, which is over twice as much as Florida with a lower population. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best way to create a political constituency is creating a new department with, ready-made voters. Adam Friended, 1999. Socialism kills, rip New York City. At least LA is still capitalist, but all the kids are trans. Is this true, Kirk? Kirk, you there?
Which part? Like, LA is still capitalist. That's not true. I mean, to an extent it is. It's just a mixed economy with a bunch of like Democrat regulations and high taxes, which makes things worse. But yeah, the kids being trans. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a trans kid in Los Angeles. So
yeah, they're in pockets. Like, I don't see these trans kids in like real life. But if you go somewhere public enough, you'll see a kid. My favorite is that Jamie Lee Curtis photo where they're like, Jamie Lee Curtis said that you can't tell which one of her daughters is trans. And like you can clearly tell, but like imagine being her non-trans daughter and Jamie Lee Curtis is like, which one was born male? You can't even tell. I'm like, that's just disrespectful.
Yeah.
But Kirk, you guys almost had that guy, the Republican that was like pretend running as like an independent, the one that they got mad at in the LA show. Yeah, in the LA fires, they got mad at this guy because he had pre-positioned his own private firefighters to protect his property in the Palisades. And they're like, what a rich like bastard. I'm like, wouldn't it have been good if that guy was the mayor and he was pre-positioning water trucks from the fire department there? Like, these people, they're monstrously stupid.
Yeah, I remember when the fires were happening, I had the news on 24/7, and like he was calling into the news stations talking about like how corrupt and incompetent the city government was.
Devin Tracy, Atheism Unstoppable, his family home burned down like in the fire.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of celebrities' homes burned down too, which was like,
I mean,
they would be the most protected, but not.
Yeah, I walked out to my parking area, and like the hills there near my place looked like a volcano at night. It was pretty terrifying. Yeah,
that's one nice thing about living in Wisconsin. We don't have forest fires like that.
That's I love the no earthquakes. Like we occasionally will get some. We had really bad flooding on Thursday.
You guys occasionally will get hit by a hurricane out there in the East Coast.
Very, very rare. Like Sandy hit us, but the only thing that was interesting about Sandy, it wasn't that powerful, but it was they call it a superstorm because when it hit, it was a tropical storm technically, like that scale, but it was so slow moving and so large, it just flooded with water. But my favorite thing about Sandy coming up again in recent New York news is because we had a bunch of flooding, and like you can watch the videos of all these neighborhoods in Brooklyn and Queens that are flooded, and like 4 years ago they all flooded again, and like cars floated into the streets and all that. Same exact neighborhoods. These are the same neighborhoods that Sandy funding was allocated to fix the sewer system in 2012. And like you have all these progressives being like, oh, you don't want to raise taxes, so Mamdani would do this. That money's still in the comptroller's office, but part of the reason they don't use it is because if you expanded and upgraded the sewage system, then you wouldn't have a built-in excuse to block new building.
Wow. That is amazing. You mentioned we were talking about the majority report. And so, I don't even know if this is in vogue anymore because I don't hear it nearly as much as I used to, but the whole like democracy in the workplace, we need to work our own cooperatives. A couple of years ago, I remember listening to a Majority Report story, and like Matt Leck was like, yeah, these billionaires are doing this and that, and that's why people need democracy. Democracy being the euphemism for socialism. Well, like 2 months ago, I heard him praising China's central planning. So like, it just goes to show what a fucking canard that whole democracy, economic democracy thing is. It's just a crock of shit.
I mean, Cenk's nephew was going off about how like they were going to use Charlie Kirk's like a murder to crack down on freedom of speech, right? And by the way,
Right.
there were like not whispers, but like there were some Trump administration officials, including Pam Bondi, talking about hate speech and saying a lot of like stupid, like nonsensical crap. Now, of course, America has a First Amendment, and like these cases go to the Supreme Court, they get smacked down 9-0. It's like the one thing the Supreme Court agrees on, but. Fast forward to a couple days ago, and China like announced that you have to be like degree certified to make internet content based on certain topics. And wouldn't you know it, Cenk's nephew's praising it. He's like, this is how you deal with misinformation and like get the facts out there. It's like, yeah, the Chinese government is really worried about misinformation. Like that's the real issue. It's like
that's their
these people love these authoritarian dictatorships, like absolutely love them.
Yeah, and I remember when they were taking over Hong Kong, like they like raided newspapers in Hong Kong that were critical of the CCP and everything. So yeah.
Kirk, you gotta refresh your camera because you've been like frozen in your video.
Oh,
no,
my
Kirk's just
geez.
expressionless. He just so unamused by everything. All right. Ron sets 4629 for $5. Thank you. No enemies to the right can just mean ignoring the excesses of the right and only focus on attacks towards the left. I wasn't saying partner with wackos. Well, again, I don't disagree, or I don't agree. I think you should, I get that there's a bandwidth issue. You only have so much time in the day to criticize so much, but there's like Sean just said, when Pam Bondi says, "Oh, hate speech," yeah, we should criticize that, even if she's not on the left. I think it's. I don't view myself as an activist, but I feel like I have a responsibility. I have an obligation to be honest with people, and if I see stupid, I'm going to call it stupid. Like, even if that helps people who I fucking hate, I'm going to be honest.
And I think a thing with the conservative movement right now that I don't think people really want to address, it seems like, is that, Trump only has 4 more years. And I think a lot of people do know that like there is going to be life after Trump and the conservative movement has to go somewhere. And I think the more statist and crazy elements are aware of that and they're trying to take over the movement. And so, yeah, I think this is an important battle, not just in the conservative movement, but American politics, because wherever the conservative movement goes, the Republican Party is going to go. And that's going to have political implications for you, me, everyone in America. So.
Right. But also, I just want to point out this: no enemies to the right, or even no enemies to the left, is the most disingenuous like talking point there is. Like Tucker Carlson, like will sideswipe Ben Shapiro like 5 times a day, and then if Ben looks in his direction, he'd be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Like, what are you doing?" And then people will be like, "No enemies to the right." Like these people spend almost all of their time attacking people on quote unquote their side for not being conservative enough, but you're supposed to like leave it alone. And this is where you get into the thing, I'm not sure if you're the first person to point it out, but all disagreements to the left were considered acceptable, but all disagreements that are slightly to the right of the left, like that is like unacceptable behavior.
You're a sellout.
Yeah, you're a sellout and you're a traitor. And that's how you get like, Cenk's nephew becoming super popular, like saying all this crazy stuff. But then like, you have basic like people on the left that are like, and there's so many people that have done this where they're like, I think the trans issue is a little excessive. And they're like, traitor, like she wants to be a part of the genocide. So like of the transes, like not the the new genocide that they're talking about.
You're talking about your bestie, right?
No, not just her. I was like specifically not trying to give her birthing person example, but like J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling, remember, she was like changing like all the characters in Harry Potter were suddenly black and gay, like and like even if the allegory didn't fit at all, like they became gay. Like werewolfism was like a replacement for AIDS, she said. And it's like, but the werewolves actively try to infect everybody else. That's a terrible allegory. So like they end up what you call it. So you get attacked viciously by people. And then when you attack them back, they're like, no enemies to the right, like or left. That's insane. Like that's ridiculous. Like you could talk about how much time you want to spend on whatever topic, sure, but like I'm not gonna join up with stupid ass ideas that are honestly more left wing in orientation than anything, and pretend like that's okay. I think I think there could be a national security argument for tariffs, but I'm not going to pretend that they're economically sound policy.
Hey, but they raise revenue.
Yeah.
Didn't you see that?
Schrodinger's tariff. They raise revenue and move all the manufacturing to the United States.
I love that. That's like one of the talking points of pro-tariff talking points is like, look at all this revenue raised. No shit, that's what taxes do. Yeah, you fucking idiots. Fat Brown Buffalo 6194. Sorry, go on, Kirk.
I was going to say, I think a nice microcosm of this was back in 2019, the LA Times put out an op-ed asking, can you fight for the cause of women and also be anti-Semitic? And it was basically, this brewed up when the organizers of the Women's March were big fans of Louis Farrakhan, who is a raging anti-Semite. And they were liberal.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Linda Sarsour.
There was someone, Linda Sarsour, and then there was another one who was an even bigger fan, and she went on The View and defended it. I forget her name, but that was a battle that the left did not want to deal with 6 years ago, and now look where they're at. You could argue that this ultimately cost them the 2024 election, and now they're supporting crazy socialist cranks like Mamdani. They don't know what to do when pro-Palestine hooligans take over university campuses and stuff, and they look like a bunch of jackasses because they are.
Mm-hmm. Sorry for the unrelated question. This is Fat Brown Buffalo 6194. But just curious, is Nuance Bro retired or will he jump back in the game at some point? Haven't seen him on X or YouTube in a while. Yeah, I haven't either. Is he still around? What's going on with him?
He has left the mortal plane.
Okay. He's dead.
Listen, when there was news of Iran controversy, Nuance Bro, a great supporter of the Shah, was trying to restore the monarchy, and we don't know if he made it through that. So,
oh god, sorry, Nuance Bro.
Hopefully, you get the peacock throne, my brother. But if you don't get it in this life, hopefully you get it in the next life.
We're gonna turn on the news one day, and he's gonna be like Shah, the next one. We're like, holy shit, I knew that guy. Okay, board 3659 for $5. By the way, Nuance Bro wasn't the first political commentator who I knew who just straight up disappeared. There was actually a lefty YouTuber who watched my channel and who I actually liked because I had talked to him before. I liked him on a personal level. I didn't agree with what he said, but his name was Polydice, and he just straight up disappeared. Yeah, I don't know what happened to that guy, but
that sounds nice. If I had enough money, that I could live off the dividends in a brokerage account, I'd be out of here. I'm not gonna Tim Pool it and just do 800 million shows when I have 1 million skate parks to build.
Skateboarding, blah. Board 3659 for $5. Honestly, I've become negative on age caps and term limits. I think populists are too optimistic and that this somehow eliminates boomer politicians. I mean, yeah, they when you see somebody like Mitch McConnell, who's literally turning into a turtle, more and more, he's pausing slowly, Mitch McConnell. I get age caps, but can't we just do we really need one to kick him out? Can't we just be this guy's fucking out of it? Don't vote for him. I don't know.
I think it's important for people to read a book. It's called the Dictator's Handbook. Mm-hmm. Or you could just watch the CPG Gray videos on it. And one of the things that you'll understand is it's not their age. It's not that they're all bought off or anything like that. It's to get a position of power, they're key constituents. And if you were to replace Mitch McConnell with another guy, he would still have a huge coal constituency.
Yeah.
And all the other constituencies that are in Kentucky that he has to work with because they can marshal voters. This is how politics actually works.
And then there's the Cenk Uygur fallacy of if you just got money out of politics, then politicians would follow the opinion polls. It's no, dipshit. Opinion polls aren't the thing that got them elected. An actual coalition of people got them elected. It's another thing. Not to bring up fucking Israel because I don't want to hear the dirt in the comment section, but Anna talking about how the United States is an occupied nation because AIPAC throws around a bunch of money. It's no, there are actual pro-Israel constituencies. Yeah, Jews are a part of it, but also like a lot of evangelical Christians who have creepy views about the apocalypse are part of it too. Like they actually have people who give a shit about it. And like she should know more than anybody, like, yeah, ethnic diaspora populations are active in politics. She talked about how her sympathy towards the Palestinian cause has to do with her Armenian upbringing. She has gotten into fights with Cenk over Armenian Turkish issues that 99% of the population doesn't know about, but go figure, ethnic populations in the United States are invested in those. Like, that doesn't make us an occupation or an occupied nation. That just means that like certain populations are concerned about issues with the old country. Sorry, that's how it is.
It's also like I remember I heard Anna say something about like John F. Kennedy being like the first president to stand up to Israel, and of course he was assassinated. So like that's like the implication. So I look it up, and John F. Kennedy, of course, was the first president to sell weapons to Israel. Like, like it's like the exact opposite, that he's the guy, like, because in the 50s it makes sense, we were strengthening ties with the Arabs because, and that's how we got our Saudi Arabian oil deal. And by the way, that's why we were very much interested in the goings on in Iran. Like, so it's just not. And what we found out though is that the Arabs like would not talk to us about communism because they only cared about Zionism, the Jewish state. So like we were not always with the Israelis. Like this is like a post-Kennedy thing that was strengthened in the Reagan era.
It's just another mythologization. I don't even know if that's a word of the Kennedy presidency. Like that stupid fucking Oliver Stone movie, which is like he got assassinated because he opposed the military-industrial complex and didn't want to go into Vietnam. It's like literally none of that's true.
Yeah,
he ran on a missile gap with the Soviet Union, which wasn't even real, and he was not opposed to getting into Vietnam. Like
he sent the advisors there. Like now, when you do what Kennedy does, these people say that that's how we got into the Vietnam War. So like this is basically starting a new war. But when they look back to Kennedy, because he got shot, again, the greatest thing that ever happened to Kennedy's legacy was getting shot in the head. Like when he got shot, they're like, oh no, that was him opposing the war. Like and Lyndon Baines Johnson, like bad.
It's
he lobbied for to get involved in Vietnam when he was a senator in the 1950s.
But yeah, he was very handsome and very charismatic, and he got shot. So therefore, he's
But most importantly, he got shot. Like that's his most important achievement was catching that bullet in the head.
Okay, Fat Brown Buffalo 6194 for $10. Thank you. You've been so generous, Fat Brown Buffalo. Was Adams really that bad, especially compared to De Blasio or Mondani? I remember him speaking in defense of that cashier who was charged by Bragg, and he sent NYPD against Columbia takeover.
Look, Eric Adams, like as a mayor, in terms of like the things that you want a mayor to basically do, is kind of a mixed bag. Like, he did push the city of yes, which allows like upzoning in certain areas. So there is an argument to be made that like if you see more stuff get built in New York City, it is because of things that were passed under Adams that you won't see the effect of for years. So like that is a positive. Adams obviously is pro NYPD. Like, is he the best manager of the New York Police Department? Well, no. When your first police commissioner has a twin brother that's using the NYPD to extort club owners for big money and like getting away with it because he looks like the police commissioner, that's kind of a disaster. When the NYPD is meeting in the parking lot with no cell phones, like, and checking everybody before they have a meeting because they're afraid that the FBI is surveilling them, that is not a good thing. Like, so Eric Adams is like, he is super corrupt. Like, I think I said this, where he was the least bad option in the Democratic primary, but he's something called the borough president. That was his job before he was mayor of New York City. I live in the city of New York. There are 5 boroughs. I live in one of them. I have no clue what a borough president does. Like, we have so many positions in New York that are just made up paid positions that these people just extract money from. So like, I knew he was going to be corrupt, and all this like Turkish stuff and the maximizing of we have like a match contribution thing, that's supposed to advantage small donors. So you get a 4x match for donations. So as long as they don't go over $250. So Eric Adams got like $1,250,000 donations from like the Turkish government, according to that like indictment. So he could get like $8 million or something like that out of matching fund. Like the guy's hella corrupt. So yeah, de Blasio sucks, and he was corrupt too. And de Blasio sold for Al Sharpton's endorsement. He put Al Sharpton's personal lawyer at the head of the New York City Legal Corporation, and that was like the year that they paid off like an insane amount of settlements for NYPD cases, including the Central Park 5 settlement. And then they used that to say that we should defund the police because look at how much they're paying out in settlements. And, well, yeah, you put that guy there to do that. Like, it's so, yeah, they were both corrupt, but like Adams was so obvious with the foreign money, and he's an idiot. Like there's a video of him as a cop saying you can search your own kids' rooms because there's no First Amendment in your household, and he's in the video. Like, he doesn't know the First Amendment is freedom of speech. He's a moron.
I remember that one. You might have a crack pipe in the baby or in the baby doll.
The baby's ass. I thought literally that he was gone when he got indicted. So I played that video, and every time I do a video on Eric Adams dying, I just use those clips because I'm like, I gotta use them. I gotta use them.
All right, WH train for $5. I think we should make someone get a CDL from California before they vote. If they can't get it, I don't know if they should vote. A commercial driver's license to be able to vote. Never heard that one before. What do you think, Kirk? You think it passed the CDL test?
I don't know. I've never really thought about that before.
Sure, why not? I'm willing to give it a try.
By the way, one of my favorite Eric Adams stories, real quick, is when they had a garbage can. It looks just like a regular garbage can, but it was like the city spent so much money redesigning garbage cans, even though it's nearly identical. And there's a video of him coming out to like that New York song, right? With the garbage bag, and he walks out and he stomps on the thing to open the lid, throws the bag in, and he's like, "This is a trash revolution." I'm like, that's what a goofball Eric Adams is. And he has the shades like the aviators. That's insane.
All right. Graham Finlayson, Fife, 7-3 for $5. Tucker considered endorsing Warren in 2020. What is he conserving? That's an excellent question.
Native American heritage.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, Sean. $2 from Toasted 7135. Do you guys ever fight over Trump? Rip nuance, bro. We've argued about it. Like
I contrary to when they put me on a debate thing and tell me the last minute I have to argue for Trump, even though I asked for crime as a topic. Like, I don't do a lot of national politics. Like,
no, you don't. Like, you're more a local story guy.
Yeah, because I like crime topics, and that's a local issue.
Yeah,
like that's why I cover local governments.
Yeah, very little national policy affects crime directly. Okay. Cold Savage 4490 for $5. Something I've become concerned with is many of my generation are increasingly moving to the far right. I'm in my 20s. What are y'all thoughts? I've seen that too. People in my own audience who, obviously I make videos intermittently. So like, 6 months after not having a video, I'll make a video, and then somebody will be like, Steve, this shtick is kind of old. You should be with Nick Fuentes now. Like, that person was 100% sincere when they said that. Yeah. And that's anecdotal, but that seems to be my experience too. That coalition seems to be growing. I'm not sure why, but it is concerning. I mean, I still think they're relatively small force in the grand scheme of things, but like the fact that they're being mainstreamed and like people like Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson are holding hands with fucking Nick Fuentes is alarming, because obviously they think that something should be gained by doing that. I mean, I'm not just saying that they're cynical, but they obviously think he's worth talking to.
Right. And to be fair to Dave Smith, who thinks I'm his biggest hater or one of his biggest haters, and unfollowed me on Twitter, he actually has talked to Nick Fuentes in the past before. This is not like a Tucker Carlson where he had Nick on the never talk to list and then recently brought him on his show. Like, Dave has done shows with him before. Like, he's done shows with Nick going back to when Nick was a libertarian crypto bro. So yeah, that's like, I'll give Dave Smith that as like one thing to be fair to him. But yeah, no, the mainstream of like all of this, like the Nick stuff, Nick has always been like not always been around. Nick's been around for a long time. And like I go to a lot of these conservative events, and there are more people that are fans of him than like I originally thought from like, you know, an outside looking in. So I'm like, that is like a bit of a, like, you know, I guess like a red flag for the right media influence sphere. I think what bothers me even beyond Nick is like all these not new creators, but like newish creators that like their content is just like, you know, we saw this in like Halloween where they're like just doing blackface, or like they're just known for saying the N-word. Like,
Yeah.
like I was scrolling on Twitter, and like, you know, Dave Smith, again, like I do not agree with his takes on foreign policy. I think Coleman Hughes handled him better than I've ever seen anyone. Like he read everything that Dave Smith had read, and like every time Dave Smith brought up a quote or a fragment of a quote, Coleman Hughes finished the quote, like, because he knew everything that Dave was going to say before he said it. So that was amazing. Okay. But like
Coleman did that on The View too once. He's really good at that.
Okay. Yeah. So like Coleman Hughes, actually my brother spotted him. My brother used to work in Long Island City. He spotted him like getting stuff for his studio, because that's like a very upscale neighborhood of New York that Mamdani wants a giant park for, but instead of apartments. But the like Dave Smith has had like a back and forth with you know, Officer Tatum, who became super pro Israel almost out of nowhere. But like, even though he calls him like a propagandist and says that he's working for the Israeli government and all the things that we've come to like notice about like the attack lines against people like that, like I go on social media and there's like people who used to be like Blaze social media influencers just calling Officer Tatum like the N-word, like on Twitter, like hard R, like that is now the new thing. That's what you get like famous for, or like that's like it is like. I talked to Devin Tracy, and I'm like, and me and him are like, it was kind of better on the internet when there were like 5 people, 2 of them were me and Devin, talking about like black crime on the internet. Like it has gone so insane in the other direction of like what's acceptable that like I don't even like, I honestly can't stand it, because it's all low brow, lowest common denominator, legitimately like dark and like evil, like stuff. Like, you know, for all these people who claim to be Christians, like it is legitimately evil to hate somebody based on the color of their skin. Like,
so I remember.
Yeah, this is sorry.
No, go on, Kirk.
No, this is something that, you know, it seems like every few weeks now I read something about how there's these young conservatives are really going in this direction. I know Rod Dreher wrote a piece for the Free Press about this a few months ago. Yoram Hazony, there was a piece in Reason magazine written about Yoram Hazony and how his National Conservatism Conference, he was like pussyfooting around the issue of anti-Semitism. And Yoram Hazony, he's an Israeli intellectual who started the National Conservatism Conference. And yeah, I think I can't help but wonder if the 2019 Groyper Wars, when Nick Fuentes and the Groypers started showing up at Turning Point USA events to really challenge Charlie Kirk. They also showed up to like Daily Wire and YAF events to do the same thing to people like Matt Walsh. And yeah, at the time, like Charlie Kirk and Matt Walsh were pretty good at I remember Ben Shapiro did a big speech condemning all the stuff that was coming out of that element of the right. And then slowly after that, I think especially after COVID, conservatives got a little comfortable pandering to the more conspiratorial minded people in their audiences when it became, you know, like COVID and all of the reaction to it gave a lot of people, they were already in the process of just hating the media and being skeptical of the media. That sort of gave them like a permission to write themselves a blank check to just be endlessly skeptical of anything they read from experts or institutions or whatever. And you started seeing them. Charlie Kirk notably flipped his stance on the separation of church and state. Conservatives increasingly started promoting Christian nationalism at a lot of these conferences. And then, that's kind of like, once you start getting into that direction, you're only like a hop, skip, and a jump away from the Groypers. So it's not surprising that it's gotten to this point. And I think the conservatives, the better conservatives got to figure this out.
Listen, like we do have to be like realistic about like the history of like certain ideas and how they like percolated in the conservative movement. Like we have to be honest. Like, nobody was talking about affirmative action as an issue until David Duke's campaign. Like, he actually is the first one who brought that issue up, and then it was absorbed by the right. And I think that affirmative action is actually bad. So even though that comes from a nefarious like source, like that, I actually think that absorption was a good thing. Like Nick 100% pushed Turning Point USA on immigration. They used to be like, you know, they would call them like open borders, but really they had that position, like that popular talking point position. When you get your diploma, we staple a green card to it, right? Like that was the Turning Point position. Like that's what it was. And they moved them on that. And like considering like what a powerful cultural issue this has been for the right, like you could argue that that was a politically savvy move, but that doesn't mean you absorb everything and you excuse everything. Like a lot of people, like most of the politicians on the right separated themselves from David Duke. Like, you know, it like just because somebody has like a good idea, like that doesn't mean that you take all of their ideas, you know, like it's like where they do the Hitler owned a dog. So if you own a dog, then you're bad. Like this is like the opposite. Like it's like, oh, I like dogs, so I guess I agree with everything that guy. No, it's like, no, don't do that either. Like that, that is like the main problem. But yeah, it is it's I think they see a lot of energy there. There's a lot of split between young men and young women, like, you know, gender polarization and Gen Z. And I think a lot of these people are trying to catch on to that. And it's also like, if you have a fringe, like stupid ass ideology, it used to be like before the internet that you would be thrown in a locker. Like now you post that online and you are called a red pill influencer.
Yeah, and the people who support that ideology will find you. Yeah. All right. Kristen Braden 7330 for $2. A thought on how is money works video on housing. I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. You guys got any idea?
Thought on how is money, maybe the channel is called How Is Money Works or How Money Works, and they did a video on housing. I recently responded to a YouTuber that's like a finance YouTuber, and she did like the student loan thing, and I actually really like that, I really liked her videos. And I was like, and I say in the beginning, but like I literally shoot like this, like I will talk for like the time and then edit it down, but it's mostly in order. So I'm like, I'm gonna be really nice to this person because I like her channel. I ran into somebody who saw my video and they're like, you were really mean to her after you said you were going to be nice. And I was like, I was, and I feel kind of a little bad about that. But you know what? Like her position literally is, it's good, therefore I think it's good, we should subsidize it. So yeah, it happens.
Toasted 7135 for $5. Does Sean now oppose the bombing of Iran's nuclear facilities after learning that it took the life of American independent journalist Nuance Bro? Who says that it took his life and that he wasn't involved somehow?
Yeah, no, I think I got to the point in my life with Iran where people have been predicting the Iran-American war for like 20 plus years since 9/11, and it's not happened, and nobody ever admits that they're wrong. And well, it pisses me off. So
some people are saying that was a war with Iran, like that bombing of those facilities. It's like, really, that was it? This is what we've been promised for 20 years. Then they're like, yeah, well, if they did that to the United States, you'd call it a war. It's like, I probably wouldn't, to be honest. Like, I would say,
they wouldn't
it's an act of aggression, but like, no, it's not the same thing as a full-blown war. Sorry,
they wouldn't be able to fly those planes over the course of like 36 hours over to the United States to do that against the Americans. But you know, but yeah, no, I feel like we like you have to, so much of like the internet and online politics and politics in general, like is around like pretending that things that obviously do exist don't exist. So like you have to pretend that there's no such thing as a limited like military operation.
Yeah,
like that doesn't exist in the minds of these people. It's like full scale war or not full scale war.
Yeah, it's binary. You're either at peace with a nation or you're at war with them. It's no like, you know, conflicts in between. So anyways,
one bomb on Tehran and that's it.
Dilly Bod for $10.
Nuclear facilities, bro.
I like your work, but libertarianism sucks. Objectivism is better. Just saying. I I'm not a libertarian. I called myself one at one point, but I'm not a libertarian. I generally agree objectivism is better, though I don't know it as well as Kirk does. Kirk, what do you say?
I concur with that statement. And thanks
Well,
for
there you
the
go.
super chat. Yeah.
Dylan,
Got a
thank
few
you, Diva.
objectivists in the chat I've noticed.
Yes, Kirk brought his.
I think I
little
saw
crew
the
here.
I think I saw the producer of the Ayn Rand Center UK in the chat earlier. So go
Oh,
check
really?
out that chat. Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right, Mr. Thien Froman. Mr. Thien Foreman, sorry, for $5. You're the Kool-Aid man as well. I know you guys. Thoughts on the Flock AI cameras are getting out of hand recently. There are news reported of a woman wrongly accused for theft, but AI footage made so many error.
It sounds like AI
Well, let me start
typing
by
made
saying
so many error in that sentence.
Yeah. So, like, a woman was falsely accused because somebody made an AI video of her. Am I reading that correctly? Yeah, I mean, like, if that happened, that's terrifying. And
Yeah.
that's why you don't like. Oh God, what was it? I think it was after Charlie Kirk got murdered. And remember they arrested like 2 people who were not the real shooter.
Yeah.
And of course they have the third guy who's not the real shooter in custody because we all know who really did it. But yeah, somebody was reporting on it, I guess you would say, and they're like, the alleged shooter arrested, blah blah blah, and then somebody underneath is like, why are you giving them such grace? They want us dead. And then like everybody was like, yeah, because they're not the person who did it. That's why you show restraint. It's like, and so like obviously AI could make that way worse.
I think Kirk was going to say something before you jumped in. I don't know if you want.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt? Kirk?
Oh no, it's past 8:00 real America time, as Stephen Michael Davis would say. So I got to bounce, but I want to thank you guys for having me on today, and thank everyone who gave super chats today.
All right, thanks, Kirk, for joining us.
Good to talk to you, Kirk.
Yeah,
good to talk to you guys too. Thank you. Go Lions.
Hey, fuck you. Who do they play this weekend? I don't even know.
The Vikings.
Oh, well, no. Yeah, I don't really care. Go Vikings, because the Lions are close to the Packers in the standings.
I realized with AI that video evidence is going to be useless in like a very short amount of time, and that is like devastating. Like half my videos are, look at this, look at that, and you can't trust it anymore.
Well, especially the court of public opinion. But luckily for me, because I rely on clips a lot, so like, there's a bunch of times where I can't find the clip. Now I can just manufacture the clip, so I can be like, yeah, show me that time Kyle Kalinske said this stupid bullshit. It's like, I can't find it. I'll just make him say it.
I remember I looked up a clip for like, remember when the Ethan, like Jenks' nephew thing was going down, and he kept using the term inbred to describe like Jews. Like,
who did?
Jenks' nephew.
Jenks' nephew?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he kept doing that, and I was like, I think I remember Jenks saying that his like parents were first cousins at some point or something like that, right? So
yeah.
I was like, oh, where do I find this clip? So I go to put it into like AI, and like, because I had a friend, a Decoy Voice, the YouTuber, he had told me that he just looks for whatever episode through AI. It refused to produce that clip. So like, it was like, that's like offensive or whatever, right?
Really?
So I started searching for like TYT inbred stories, or stories about like Giuliani maybe marrying his first cousin, if you know his first marriage. I found the clip. It was Jenks' grandparents. So now I have that like in my in my quiver, in case
you got that stowed away.
Yeah, just on reserve. As soon as they bring up anybody being inbred, I'm like, well, actually, let me tell you about your own family.
Dude, the clip that I'm so glad that I pulled, that because it's been scrubbed from the internet by its original author. It's Kyle Kalinske calling Crystal Ball, his future wife, stupid.
Oh, you got to send me that.
It's when like it's in the early stages of his channel, and she was on MSNBC, and somebody pranked them, MSNBC, and she fell for it. And it cuts to Kyle Kalinske laugh. He goes, "Oh, Crystal Ball's so stupid. Oh, she's so stupid." And now they're married, which is hilarious. But yeah, every so often I'll just post that on Twitter and be like, yeah, this is funny. This happened. But wait, so you use an AI program to like find clips?
No, I tried it that time and it didn't
Okay.
work. But like that is a thing that works. If you like remember like a clip from like an episode of a show and it's like a podcast, you can say what's the episode of this podcast where this happened, and it'll do a good job at to like search it out because it could scan the videos or whatever.
Sure, because I tried ChatGPT to find videos that I know exist. I'm
Yeah.
like it of like Jenk saying X, Y, and Z or Kyle Klinsky saying ABC, and it couldn't find it, which sucked.
I know.
Because it's like, oh my god, I could go digging for these, or I could pay people to find these for me, which I've done in the past, but like, it's not. Is it worth it? I don't know. Maybe not. Dillybod for $10. Oh, and P.S. Nick Fuentes is a cat boy. Mr. Medicor speaks the truth. Ah, Mr. Medicor, he had cancer. Is he still around? Speaking of people who might have died,
I don't know. I don't know about his
most of his videos are gone now, which is too bad because they were funny. How much time do you have, Sean?
I have a little bit of time. Oh, you know what I did? I just kicked my microphone like an idiot. Just give me one.
Okay. I just don't want to keep you longer than you need to go. I do want to get to these super chats. Jonathan Gendler 3871 for $2. Is AJW still planning video about Central Park 5? Devin Tracy basically did the definitive version of that, but are you planning on chiming in on that?
Listen, he did do it. I did mention that I would consider doing a series. Devin has said I should do it, but like, listen, I'm the king of promising part 2s and videos that I'm never gonna make. So
you're like the George R. Martin of crime YouTube.
I might have to uphold that tradition.
Clark, no way Superman's watching the channel. Look at that. Oh shit, I just doxed him. Clark Kent for $9.99. All three of you, if you had to run for public office, no matter how big or how small, what position would you think you could do the best at with your knowledge? God, I would be terrible in public office. I really would be. And there's no way I'd win an election. If I could just like be appointed to something, fuck it, make me president.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, do you go for the most power or like, I guess the most effective? I guess dog catcher.
Yeah, because there's not a single public office I think I could win.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. Like,
this is stupid, and like I'm not ever gonna run for office or whatever. I'm like, Curtis Sliwa basically ran unopposed for the Republican nomination for mayor. Mom Donnie is 1 year younger than me. I'm like, that was possible. Like in theory, but but like you think that, and then you realize that you don't have any community ties, like you know what I mean. So it's like that's like a thing that floats around in your brain occasionally when you see these very low turnout elections. But even then, like the people that campaign there, like they have some ties to the community, or we're talking about like ethnic ties. Like I remember I was voting for an election. And I showed up to vote. It was like a state assembly person. And the candidate was on the street giving near the polling place, but the legal distance away, giving like anti-sanitation spray, like out for people. Right. And this was years ago in my old neighborhood. And she literally lost by like 200 votes. But that's because it was a Chinese and Korean neighborhood. Okay. And she was the Chinese candidate running against the Korean. But like the Korean guy had been in office forever, but like I guess this was the first Republican to run as a Chinese person. Wow. So she almost won by like, it was like 800 votes or something was like the deciding factor. Total amount of votes in the election, like 20,000.
Yeah, I mean,
very small.
Identity is so important, and like you don't want to fall in the Cenk Uygur trap of like, oh, lots of people watch me online, therefore I could win an election. Like then Cenk gets what, 5% in a special election.
Yeah. I got recognized 3 times in my neighborhood. That means everybody knows me.
Yeah. All right. Christian Braden 7330 for $2. Thoughts on the AI bubble? Is it or not a bubble? No, I think it is a bubble. And I go back and forth on like how promising is AI. Because I've used ChatGPT for like a few months now. And I'm underwhelmed. I'll be honest. Like, I give it a to-do list. This is literally something I can do with a pen and paper. And it's like, do the laundry, fucking cut the grass, go to the grocery store. Here's the groceries I need. X, Y, and Z. And then like literally the next day I'll be like, hey, pull out my to-do list, and it will have forgotten items. Or like I'll cross off items and it'll have forgotten that.
Yeah.
And I'd use the paid version. Granted I'm using the lower version, but like, you know, it should be able to do pretty basic tasks, and it's not. Obviously, you know, we mentioned earlier, like the AI videos are getting real impressive. So in certain respects, obviously, certain AI programs are very promising, but overall, I don't know. I'm still skeptical. You know, I'll be sold on AI once they make a realistic spell checker. That's been my standard forever.
I think I see like, you know, you see reports about Amazon laying off you know, like a bunch of their middle manager types because they're using AI to like optimize like their systems better. So there's definitely like something better that we're not getting in Chat GPT that these companies are developing. But like it is crazy that the S&P 500 is down, but for the big 7 companies in there, which are all AI based, and Nvidia is like insane. But yeah, so I think it's a bubble, but people mistake a bubble for something not being real. Like the .com bubble was a bubble, but like tech companies rule the world right now, you know? Like
no, I mean that's usually how new innovations go, is like when something becomes, you know, something becomes promising, a shit ton of money goes into it.
If you recall, Blockchain T like exploded in stock because they changed the company name to Blockchain when that was a trend. Like there's a little bit of that, but like I think there's something like real afoot and about this like AI thing, and it is concerning. Like I am a bit worried that we are all gonna die. Like,
no, I mean, like, dude, the Terminator T-1000 come to kill us all. That is a possibility. Let's not joke, or let's not kid ourselves.
Elon Musk is talking about how he wants $1 trillion, and he keeps saying to build an army of AI robots. And it's like,
it's kind of terrifying.
It's like, is there a better name for a group of robots like than an army of them? It's like a murder of crows. Like that might not be the best name for a group of these winged black birds.
Right. No, but the whole thing about it being a bubble of, you know, a bubble bursting is just a market correction. So like when something new and popular and innovative comes on the scene, obviously a bunch of people try and get in, and a bunch of people try and make money off of it. Most don't, and there's your bubble bursting. So no, the bubble's real. Like it's inevitable, but hopefully the course correction is not too drastic.
I will say though, I have been contacted with like YouTuber friends that will run and they go viral way more often than I do. They will run their thumbnails, their titles through Chat GPT or whatever AI. They'll take other people's titles on the same topics, throw them in, and be like, "What about this title makes it go viral? Can you give me a better version of this?" And apparently, it works like for them. But I had a internet friend tell me, because most of my job is like editing, like, you know, very, very little of it is actually in front of the camera comparatively. I had a friend tell me, he sent me a link to the software. He's like, yeah, I just like, it's an AI editing software. And he just like throws his clips in and he tells him in general what he wants. He has other videos are all similar style. And he's like, yeah, it does 90% of the work for him. And I'm like, that's insane.
A time saver.
Yeah. And so, and like, you know, Adobe is like their stock because, you know, they have the Adobe suite. Yeah. That's in the like trash. Like that company may never recover.
Really?
Like,
so this is a question related to something that I wanted to bring up with you that you mentioned earlier. Dave for $4.99. What's your opinion on the economy? Are we in a silent recession? I think we're in a massive bubble, but we don't know it's going to pop. So we already kind of talked about the AI bubble. And you know, Sean, you mentioned that like all these tech companies like Amazon and stuff like that, they're going to be using AI. I think the number was like, it will, between the number of people they won't be hiring and the number of people they'll be laying off is like 600,000 people in the next 10 years. Again, I don't know about it because like, it's sort of like self-checkouts. Like a lot of places, they moved to self-checkouts because you don't need a cashier, or you save money. And now a lot of places are moving away from them because there's a theft problem. The customers don't like it. There's a number of problems with it. So again, a lot of it depends on the promise of AI. Does AI actually deliver for Amazon? You assume that Amazon is going to make a great decision because they're such a profitable and well-run company, but they're certainly they're not infallible. They could make a terrible decision with AI. So as far as that goes with your bubble question, yeah, we talked about eventually the AI bubble will pop, the enthusiasm will wear out. How bad that's going to be, I don't know. As far as like the recession shit goes, yeah, I think like the tariffs have been disastrous, and honestly, like the squeeze into the labor market, not good either. You can say that that's better because we need to get a hold on immigration, whatever. I don't necessarily agree, but yeah, I think the economy grew like 0.1% if you take out the AI stocks last quarter.
Yeah,
It was something like that.
I think like as far as it's a bubble or not, like what I will say is like I was 18 when the housing crash happened in 2008.
Yeah.
I only wish that what I would have done was taken whatever meager earnings I had and thrown it in the S&P 500 then, because like the market had dropped to like 7,000 or 6,000. It's now 44,000. Like I do not root for a recession for anybody to get hurt or anything like that. But if like stocks drop, I'm not buying less of them. I'm buying more of them. And I really want people to think about like that.
That is actually when I bought my first stocks. Cause God, I was I think I was a sophomore in college. This was in the aftermath because I'm only a year older than you, so I was 19 when the whole thing went down. But I remember watching on CNN, and they're like, the GE stock is less than a light bulb. Citibank stock is like, pennies on the dollar. And so that was when I booted up an eBay account and I bought GE, Citi, and I forget what the other one was. But yeah, I still have those stocks in my E-Trade account. I haven't looked at them, but like I've gained money on them considerably. Again, I didn't have much money to invest. I wish I had more, but I sort of did that.
I'm sure they've gone up like dramatically, like but like I'm just like right now, and I try to tell people, I'm like, because I'll have people tell me, they're like, oh, S&P 500, they're like, bro, put your money in crypto, 10,000 billion% return every second or whatever. And it's like, listen, I'm just trying to grow like slow over time, like keep it real simple. I don't know how much of your income, I don't know if you're doing I figured this out recently. I do a solo 401k because I have self-employed income.
Yeah.
All you have to do is set up an employer identification number, which costs like $300 from the IRS. Write that off your taxes. You can put $23,000 ish or more now because it goes up every year from the employee side, and up to 70,000, depending on how up total 70,000, so like 50 whatever on that side towards retirement. And I'm like, but you have to make a certain amount to do the employer side. It's too complicated, but it's not that complicated. But I'm like, damn, I'm trying to chuck as much money away, avoid taxes as possible now, and have retirement. And I'm like, people need to do this. I obsessively harass people in my day-to-day life about their 401ks and like make sure they do this. It's like, so I'm not super panicked about like the long-term economic prospects. I think people will figure it out.
Yeah.
But like, it could be different this time. It could be.
It could always be different. Luckily, I have a fat 401k because of my time with the military-industrial complex. But obviously, I no longer work for a large company, but you still need to save for retirement.
Yeah.
And
do your Roths.
Yeah.
And get yourself a Roth.
TRGS Scorpion 9532 for $2. Nick never left the gaycation. Yeah, that's true. There was a video of him in Destiny. Was Destiny was pitching and not receiving, correct?
Oh, I'm not. There is that rumored video, but Destiny is he's the taster.
Yes. I did not watch it. I have no desire to watch it. Yeah, that's but if that's true, then they're both kind of gay now.
I'll tell you a funny story without getting too much into the things about a Destiny video that I inadvertently stumbled across. So like, he's being sued by a lady, right, for like leaking some stuff.
Yeah.
So I found this like post I first I checked if anybody had sent this to me early, because a bunch of people said that they heard about this story early. Nobody sent it to me early before it like went public. But I found a post where they were like explaining how they identified the girl, and it was like one of the most 4chan things ever, where they're like, she has 3 pattern moles on her shoulder, and they like zoomed in, and then they found photos of her on Instagram, and they're like, this is how we ID'd her. And then underneath that like post, this was like, again, like a 4chan link or something, there was a link, right? So I clicked the link that was underneath, right? Because I like some cringe stuff as much as the next person. It's just the video of the thing that she's suing over. It's just there, and like her whole face is in that video. So these 4chan like idiots like freaking detectivized this mole thing in this post, but like literally they had to have pulled that still image from the video where you can see her whole human, like the most identifying thing about her human face. And I was like, this is like a level I really try to avoid people's like nonsense like this. This was too much. I just had to log out of the internet, like throw my computer. But that's like how ridiculous these Chan people are. Like they were like, oh, people are gonna think this girl has the same exact face as another girl, so we need some other identifying information. I'm like, no, they won't. They won't think that.
So these internet sleuths, they spread around the revenge porn that they were trying to expose Destiny on.
No, they don't. It's 4chan people. They don't give a damn about that at all. But it's like, if like you and I are having this conversation and they want to prove that it's you and I, and they like zoom in to like something like right here at the eye thing and like match it to an Instagram photo, like one of us has a small scar or something.
Yeah.
Like we're on video with our names. Like, what do you mean? Like, it was so stupid.
Oh my. Should we end it there with Destiny sex talk?
We're at about 2 hours, so I think we ended it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for talking about the mayor and some other stuff, or the future mayor and some other stuff. This might be your last transmission from New York City until it turns into the People's Republic of New York City.
Yeah. We got to thank Kirk Wilcox for joining us, even though his internet was a little wonky. And we all know if you're in Los Angeles, your internet gets wonky, you have to shock your dog out of anger.
This is true, yes. As Hassan has taught us. And everyone there is trans, of course. So
true.
All right. You guys take care. Hope you had a good Halloween. I'm working on a video tomorrow. I know I've said that in the past, but I posted a video a couple days ago. So
I saw it.
Yes, thank you. What's coming up from you? You post videos pretty much every day.
I will make videos, but I have nothing scheduled for tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I usually watch them on the weekend, so I got a big day of catching up on AJW coming up. So, all right, you guys take care. Bye.